CyberSentinel is a parental control tool designed to help protect your children from internet dangers and supervise what they do online. CyberSentinel can automatically block pornographic and other inappropriate websites and monitors emails, internet chat and social networks for unsuitable content, grooming phrases and other danger words. You can monitor up to 5 PCs in the home, and it can be managed entirely from over the internet. So let's start by looking at the parent's console. This is the interface you will use to monitor your child's computer. I've now logged on and I'm looking at a summary of activity for my family in terms of web usage and screen captures where their software has detected inappropriate content. Now I can only see my son David, but if I had more children they would be listed below. And CyberSentinel is picking up on the login names to the local machines. If the children don't use individual logins, it would simply pick up on the machine names. I'm now going to click on my son David so I can start looking at his activity and making sure there's nothing that I should be concerned about. First of all, there is a summary page. This will tell me the most visited websites, if there are any recent chat logs, and the most recent screen captures. Capture logs is a very unique and important feature of CyberSentinel. The way this works is the software is constantly monitoring the children's screens for inappropriate words or phrases. If the software detects a word or phrase anywhere on screen that may indicate cause of concern, it will take a screen capture and it's logged. The way it does this is the software comes pre-loaded with word libraries, and you can see these libraries on the left hand side. Strangers, pornography, violence, etc. All very real dangers, and of course a lot of these issues are now happening online as technology grows. So each of the libraries is populated with words and phrases relevant to the library, and CyberSentinel is looking for these words across everything that's happening on screen, online, offline, across all applications, and whether the words are viewed or typed. You will see as we move through the demonstration, these libraries can be switched off and on, they can be relaxed, and of course you can have different levels of monitoring for different children. So what I'm going to do now is look at the capture activity for my son David, and you can see here we have some thumbnail views of the captures and the word that's triggered the capture. So let's click to enlarge. Now the word that has actually triggered the capture is ASL. ASL is an acronym for age, sex, location, which is quite a common question when you're chatting to somebody online. So this website appears to be an online chat site where you can chat to complete strangers. And here you can see the stranger my son is chatting to has used the acronym ASL. And my son has responded, male, 14, Camberley. So he has now given out 3 key pieces of information about himself to a complete stranger. As a parent, this is very worrying. I need to now talk to my son about the dangers of giving out personal information. I may also want to block this website so he can't access it in the future. So back to the thumbnail views, I'm now going to click on List View, which gives me a list of the captures including the words, application, the date and time that the capture took place. Now I think I may well have picked up on something else disturbing down here. I've picked up on the word bullied, so let's click and have a look. So I can clearly see that my son has done a search in Google, I'm being bullied at school. Now without CyberSentinel it would be very difficult to tell what's going on within the pages of these websites like we're doing now. So again, this may be something that I want to talk to my son about. Weblogs lists all the websites my son has visited along with the number of hits, date and time, and the time spent on each site. Now down here, there's the chat site my son visited earlier on, which we discovered via screen capture, and I'm now going to block it. So it's now telling me that the website's been blocked, so I don't have to worry about that particular site anymore. I'm now going to click on Update Settings, and this is going to give me various options in terms of monitoring and filtering for my son. Within User Settings, I can decide how CyberSentinel will work. I can switch CyberSentinel off altogether, so there is no monitoring or filtering. If I have multiple children, I may decide to have CyberSentinel switched on for one child and switched off for another. I can run in active but invisible mode. This means CyberSentinel is busy working away in the background but is completely invisible to the child. I can run it in active mode, but it will display an icon in the toolbar. This way the child knows there's some software in place. And finally I can run the software in active, showing the icon but also displaying warning messages. These messages are displayed based on certain events, such as CyberSentinel blocking websites or taking screen captures based on inappropriate content. This is a really good way of reminding the children that something inappropriate has been detected and will hopefully help to model and modify their behaviour over time. I have some options here surrounding internet chat, and when I say internet chat I'm really just talking about things like MSN Messenger and Yahoo Pager, that kind of thing. I can allow chat, but it's monitored. This means CyberSentinel will record every single chat conversation from both sides, going backwards and forwards. I can allow internet chat, but have it unmonitored. This means CyberSentinel won't record every conversation, however it will still take a screen capture if it detects inappropriate content. Or of course I can not allow it at all. I can decide how often I want CyberSentinel to check for monitored words and take screen captures. By ticking store and forward, I'm ensuring that CyberSentinel will continue to work even if the children's machines are disconnected from the internet. So, if my son is using his laptop away from home, on a train, at a friend's house, or wherever he's not connected to the internet, CyberSentinel will continue to monitor web usage and take screen captures. And last but not least, I can decide whether I want website logging on or off. This is where I can manage the word libraries and decide which categories I would like to monitor. Again, each of these categories comes pre-populated with words and phrases associated with the library. When CyberSentinel detects any of these words anywhere on screen, online or offline, it will take a screen capture and it's logged. And I can simply decide whether or not I want to monitor these categories. This is where I can add my own words relevant to my family to a custom word library. Now you'll see here that I've added my son's mobile phone number and also the last 8 digits of my credit card. So, if my son ever gives out his mobile phone number to somebody online, or if he ever tries to use my credit card, CyberSentinel will take a screen capture and I'll be alerted. Within web safety, I have lots of options with regards to web filtering and monitoring. So first of all, we have some website categories: pornography, gambling, shopping, etc. Now each one of these categories contains a standard list of websites. So for example, the social networking category will include things like Facebook, Bebo, MySpace, etc. And I can choose to simply block or allow these categories. As I scroll down, I've got a My Blocked Sites list. This is where I can go in and block specific websites. And you'll recognise the chat website that I blocked earlier. The other option I have is to apply what's known as a whitelist. This is where I can create a list of websites that I only want my son to be able to access and nothing else. This is a great way of making sure my son remains on task, and I can be safe in the knowledge that he's only accessing websites that I've approved. There are a couple of other nice things I can do from here. I can allow CyberSentinel to block web pages that contain pornographic or sex words. So this is really an added layer of protection to sit alongside the normal pornography category block. I can choose how many words I want CyberSentinel to detect before it blocks the web page. If the slider is at 1, CyberSentinel will block any web page that contains a single pornographic word, and the sensitivity can be adjusted. So the higher the slider moves, the more words CyberSentinel will look for before blocking the web page. Moving down to the bottom of the page, you'll see I can also add my own words or phrases that will block web pages. You'll see here I've added the word X Factor, and this is because my son was literally spending all of his time looking at X Factor on the internet. So this now means CyberSentinel will block any web page that contains the word X Factor. And again, this is all about modelling behaviour. Within time management, I can decide when and for how long my son uses the internet. I can choose to disable altogether, or only allow access at certain times of the day. Now, I like to disable the internet between 10 in the evening and 7 in the morning, and this is because my son would sometimes stay up late playing online games, and of course going to school pretty tired the next day. I can also decide how long he spends on the computer as a whole, so as you can see here, I allow him 2 hours access a day, but I may increase that to 4 hours over the weekend. I also have some options surrounding application usage, so I can decide what applications my son uses and when. So by taking an application from this list and moving into this list, I can simply decide how long he can use them. So for example, games applications, I may only want my son to access these applications perhaps over the weekend. Within settings, I can apply a safety override, which will temporarily suspend any web and time restrictions that are in place. So if my son urgently requires access to a particular site that for whatever reason has been blocked, or needs access to the internet during a time when it would normally be disabled, I can apply a password to the local machine without the need to visit the console. For more information, please visit www.cybersentinel.co.uk. Thank you for watching.